And about myself, I'm co-founder and CEO of QuillAudits, and we are securing this Web3 space and building on Web3 security tools. We recently launched one tool, Quill Check, that is rug pull detection tools that is helping any investors or anyone before doing investment in any token or any NFT or any DeFi product. And we started QuillAudits in 2018, and till now we have worked with 700 plus startups. And why we started QuillAudits? So in 2016-17, when I was developer, was working with some ICO projects, right? So while I was doing the coding for them on Solidity, I realized even a single bug or single mistake can cause so many things, right? And then I started looking what's going into web security and hacks and everything. Then I realized there is so many scams are going on. Already there are scams are going, and there were already 1-2 companies that are already giving the auditing services, and that's how I got introduced to auditing and security space. And then we started QuillAudits, and yeah. And let's see about what's the Web3 security trends are currently going on in this market, right? So let me I think I'm already shared my screen. Let me open our tool. We just launched one hacker board, right? We'll discuss about it, and better to use the dashboard and data so that we can make it more interactive. Okay, all good. So we can see like only in last month or like in January, like around $130 million are already hacked or gone into scams and hacks already, right? And last year the amount was around $4 million, and the hacks were around 452. But and in 2021 the hacks were around 360, but the amount was around $10 billion because of some big hacks were there, right? So in 2022, what was the trend of hacks, right? Mostly the hacks were related to the bridge, the bridges, like Ronin, the Binance bridge, all these bridge got hacked and everything. The second was, and I feel it's going to be always, is the rug pull, right? And why these rug pulls are going? Because this Web3 space is excuse me, sorry. Because this Web3 space, the developers, the founders are having the anonymity, we calling it, like everyone is anonymous, right? And we don't know the who's the founder is, who the developer is. These Web3 DeFi products are giving APY, a yield, we can say it like around 12, 15 or 20%, right? And that's why we are investing in those products. And after 1-2 months, this the projects got closed, right? And there is so many other pools are going on, right? And the third sorry, the next trend was around the phishing attacks, right? And because of the phishing attacks, we can see that the Axie Infinity network got hacked, right? And that was just because of one mail to that developer inbox, and he just clicked on it, and there was some phishing attack were there, right? So mostly attacks were around these, like bridge rug pulls and phishing networks. These kind of phishing hacks were there last year. Okay, so we can see this is our Web3 tech stack, right? And mostly the attacks are happening on the application layer, right? Last year around 50% attacks were on the smart contract layer, and the rest on the front end, back end, or we can call it the bridge. The rest were around those, right? So we can see the mostly are on the smart contract part, right? And now we can see one interesting thing is also there, right? Everyone is building the DAO, right? And they are using the DAO name to every product, right? And whenever we are going to any meetups and these kind of events, everyone is saying I'm building a DAO and DAO. But I think we should, if you're building anything in Web3, it's either DAO, NFT, or DeFi, we should be very serious if we're writing any code, and we should be taking care of proper auditing, proper security process. Okay. So that was the trend. I think we already discussed. In 2022, it was around $4 billion, right? And mostly the attacks were on the Binance chain. Mostly attacks were on the Binance chain. Then the next were on the Ethereum chain, and the third was the Polygon chain. So, these were the trends were there last year. Okay. So the next thing is like why we need Web3 security in auditing if the blockchain is so much secure and everything is there, right? So as we discussed in the last slide, the most attacks are happening on the application layer, right? And the blockchain is secure, like we can say it like it's secure, but why we need security auditing? Because the smart contracts that we are writing, the developer is writing, right? Maybe he's not experienced, maybe he don't know the next attack vector that can happen on an DeFi or NFT product. That's why these we need Web3 security auditing, and then definitely these rug pulls are going on, right? So before you invest in any product, you should be checking about that product, right? Okay. So we can see, I think already discussed, around 50% attacks are on the smart contracts layer, right? And the last year, so the data is around 2021. The last year, around $10 billion were lost into DeFi NFT attack vectors were there, right? So why these Web3 hacks are going on? The language is new, the attack vectors are new, and some companies I can see as auditing companies, we are getting many products to get audited, and we are doing it. So like some of the developers are just anonymous, right? They just hide from Upwork or any freelancer website. They don't know about the developers, and in some cases the developers are doing the scams, right? We have seen many cases, right? And most of the founders are just forking the product and not getting audited, and they are just thinking, I just forked it and I just did change into 3-4 lines, right? And it's completely safe. But we have seen it like in 2021 and 2 also, many fork project got hacked, right? Because they were not audited, tested properly, right? Even the Binance Smart Chain did one tweet on Binance Twitter handle key, before you are making any fork of any project, make sure you are getting audited and secure, right? And because most of the hacks were happening on the Binance chain, that's why they posted about it also. Okay. The next thing is why these hackers are moving from Web 2 to Web 3 space, right? Uh, because the code is the money, right? So in blockchain, your smart contract is having these DeFi or NFT assets, right? Maybe having any stable coins, or maybe having any board app NFT, right? The code is the money, and that's why these Web2 hackers are also now coming into Web3. How they can break the smart contract logic, what kind of new attack vector they can work on it, right? So that's why these Web2 hackers are moving from Web2 to Web3. Okay. And the next thing is also there is no legal protection, right? Like if someone hacked any smart contract, there is no legalities around it also, right? But now there is some good companies like Chain Analysis and other companies are also there. So just assume any hacker did any kind of scam or anything. Now they are tracking that address of that hacker, right? And they are tracking everything, like from which exchange that guy is sending the transaction and what's going on. And we have seen in many cases the hackers are getting caught, like maybe after 1-2 years, right? Because in the blockchain, all transactions are transparent, right? But in some cases these hackers are also using mixers, the crypto mixers, right? And we have seen in Axie Infinity case, the North Korean hacker used one mixer and they have taken around 700 million out of it to the North Korean country, right? And North Korean, I think GDP is around $15 billion, right? So we can see it like 700 million is a big money for North Korea, right? Maybe they are building the next any missile or any kind of thing, right? So that was a security risk. That's why US government banned that crypto mixer. So first time any government banned any smart contract code, right? Yeah. So we can see some big hacks in 2022. Some projects are were audited, some were not audited, right? Okay. So again, we can see some are audited and some are not audited. Why I'm saying about some are audited and some are not unaudited, because auditing is not a 100% foolproof for your project, right? Right. You should be getting audited from at least two companies if you're building a complex product, right? And auditing is just a just as an auditing company, we are just minimizing the risk, right? And and if you're building any DeFi NFT product, make sure you are getting the full cyber security of your product, not only smart contracts, right? Because we have seen last year only around 50% attacks were on the smart contract, rest were on the other layers, right? And we have seen many cases also, like in 2021 and 2022, these Web3 founders were using the audited report to pump and dump their token. Like our project is now audited from Certi or any QuillAudits or any company. Now they can play the game, right? The PR game, any game, right? But make sure it should be audited from at least two companies, and your other layers, front and back end or infra, should be also audited and secured. Okay, that's the ideal smart contract audit process that we follow in QuillAudits, and using this process, we were able to secured over 700 plus projects. And this is standard process. We start from code gathering, like, right? And code gathering is a very important step, like, right? We are asking the developer everything, the unit test cases, the architecture, how the product is working, any white paper and technical paper, all kind of things we are asking. Or any company, as a auditing company, should be asking to understand the how the product is working, right? Then we do the functionality testing to test all the features of smart contracts. Then this is line by line analysis. If there are any solidity issues, if we can optimize any solidity line or gas optimization things, then we run some static analysis tools that are already open source, like Mithril, Sleeker, all the open tools are there. Then we share the initial audit report. Then the developer will fix the issue. Then we'll share the final audit report. Right. So this is a standard process. Most of the companies are using the same process. And yeah. So that's some DeFi. Now there are some attack vectors, right? Like in smart contracts. In smart contracts means like specific to Solidity, we are having some attack vectors like access control, reentrancy. These kind of attacks are there. Integer overflow and everything is there, right? Now DeFi protocols having their own attack vectors. NFTs having their own attack vectors, right? So as a developer, you should know the attack vector of your protocol. If you're building a DeFi product or NFT product, you should know what's the attack vector of DeFi or NFT, right? So, and we also publish these attack vectors on our QuillHash or QuillAudits GitHub, right? So anyone can check the attack vectors specific to DeFi, NFT, and also anti DeFi or anti NFT process is also there, like how you can secure your DeFi or NFT product, right? So make sure the developer should know the attack vectors and how, and we should be having the good idea like how we can write a secure code according to that attack vector. Okay, so this is a guideline and for the project owners that we usually share. Like audits are not enough, and you should be going with, I think, minimum two auditing companies. Choose the best auditing company based on the expertise, what kind of tools that company is using, and how the company is making the reports, not by the brand name, right? Because we have seen, I think in last slide, many of the contracts got hacked, and that was audited by one popular company, right? So check the expertise of the auditor, who the auditor is going to work on that product, and what's the auditor expertise of DeFi, right? That DeFi means that auditor should be having the understanding of finance, yeah, fintech, like how these things are working, right? And always go with two auditing company we already discussed, and plan your bug bounty. That will also will minimize the risk of hack, right? And I feel Immunify and Code for Arena is doing good work, so we should be using for bug bounties. And now the most important thing is set the monitoring alerts, right? And Monitoring alerts means like you just deployed your contract, right? And now you don't know what's going into your product, right? So you should be getting any alert if there any suspicious transaction is going on, right? That's why there is need of monitoring. Okay, so this is standard guidelines that we usually any founders should be following, right? Okay, now this is a more specific to DeFi. I think we bit out of time. So more specific to DeFi, what kind of strategies the DeFi developer or founder should be using, right? We will skip to the next slide. Now this is a developer guidelines that we share with the developers, right? So the best is always follow development guidelines from OpenZeppelin, QuillAudits, or consensus, any auditing company, right? Always write your unit test cases, and we are, as an auditing company, we are expecting the code coverage should be 90% plus, right? And if the code coverage is not there, we usually say the developer, please work on the unit test cases. Only after that we will work on the auditing, right. And as a developer, don't rest for the code, right? Maybe the project owner is putting his money life saving, right? We have seen in many cases as a developer, like if I hired a developer as a freelancer, like always just to deliver the project. But just assume as a founder, maybe I'm putting a life saving around it, right? And follow the best security newsletters. Like we also publish our newsletter, hashing bits, blockset, immunify, to keep updated with the new attack vectors, new postmortem reports, new vulnerabilities in this space, right? And have a deep understanding of blockchain EVM architecture, how Ethereum is working, and good understanding of Ethereum yellow paper also, right? And I think we discuss one thing also, like as a developer, you should be having the audit guidelines and different approach for DeFi or NFT, right? Don't assume if I'm good in Solidity, I don't need the different approach or auditing guidelines for DeFi NFT. Like maybe there can be new attack vector as a developer, you don't know, right? So you should be having those data. That's a security tools for developers that available on our GitHub. Any developer can check out. So all the tools we mentioned, and we just made one mind map out of it. Okay. Now this is our QuillOS ecosystem that we are currently working on it, and QuillAudit, we are already helping the production auditing and security. QuillMonitor, we are helping in the monitoring. That part we discussed, like post deployment, how we can help it, right? QuillCheck, I think we made it live last month. It's a risk analysis before you invest in any product. You can get a token score out of it, right? And QuillPlay is your DApp management, like where you will get a nice, overview of your DApp, how the transactions are going, if there are any suspicious transactions going, what kind of users are interacting, user behavior of your, DApp users you'll get there, right? This ecosystem we are trying to build. And this is roadmap, and it's a very interesting roadmap available on our GitHub. So if any developer is looking to get into auditing space, he can explore it, right? A roadmap is very simple. We already discussed everything. The developer should be having good knowledge of Solidity, the EVM architecture, and should be following best, newsletters, best blogs of auditing companies, and should be solving good CTF challenges, right? And we also having one CTF challenge that is already live, so developers can check out. Okay, that's all around it. Why we start with QuillAudits, and what was our journey, and what's our developer guidelines, what our project owner guidelines, right? And what kind of attack vectors the developer should be focusing on, right? So we just discuss all the things. Yeah.
That's great. Let's move to the questions, Q&A section. Give us a real life example of how a successful audit you conducted, and what are the challenges you faced?
Okay, so as a real life experiences, like, so I think my auditing team is facing, solving it daily, right? Maybe I'm not tracking it, right? So how the auditing process work, like we work with like around 10 to 15 clients per month, right? Just assume we are working on a DeFi NFT product, we got to know, there can be any flash loan attack, there can be any, reentrancy attack can be there, right? So we just add that bug into our report. We say the client like did re-entrancy attack and there, right, and the developer will fix it, right? So it's a so we are working on these all real life examples, right? Daily we are reporting the bugs, like this can be re-entrancy, this can be this attack vectors, then developer is fixing it. Then after all the bugs fixing, they are going live.
Good. How has the demand of smart contract audits evolved like over the years, and what do you see the future of this industry?
So I feel uh, the auditing is demand is going to be increased like slowly. But with auditing, there is going to be a demand of full, your full stack cybersecurity, right? Not only auditing, and there is going to be more, need of post deployment also. We discuss the monitoring, right. So before deployment and post deployment, these both things are going to be more important in future, and auditing is going to be always in demand, because these now the hackers are always into web3 and they are breaking the code, right? So with auditing, your risk analysis, the monitoring, right, smart contract insurance, right, these kind of things are slowly coming, and some good companies are also building around it. Only auditing
What
is
are
not
the
enough. That's I'm trying to say.
what are the obstacles that you face in this industry?
Obstacles, the first is the talent, right? you know uh, to hire a good auditors, it's very very much difficult, right? More developers are available in the market, but to hire best auditors, the market is not no not many auditors in the market, right? So this challenge we face. The second challenge we face is some of the uh, clients, so we are always in rush, right? We have to go live, we have to go live, we have to go live, right? Then we have to share with them even a single bug can cause so many things, right? And then they now, and they say, oh yeah, you guys are right, let's wait for it, take your time, right? So these issues we face it. And some issues are some founders are hiring the freelancers developer or any part-time developers. They are not writing the unit test cases, not working on the documentation of the things. So these things are making the life of older a bit hard, right? And without this as auditing company, we can't work on it, right? The third thing that we face, I feel there should be some legalities around it, and like there should be one standard process around it, like what should be the auditing report looks like, right? Because currently there is no standard, right? Every company is having their own auditing report, but mostly is having the similar auditing report. But if we are expecting, if we can make a standard around it and we can publish the report in a similar way, that will be great.
Um, what a failure? I mean, what is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from
So biggest failure, so like we started our journey in 2018, right? So at 2018-19 we were working on the multiple things, right? And we were not able to scale the things, right? So the biggest learning is to focus on one thing and scale that thing, right? Don't work on so many things, work on one thing, scale that things. And in 2020, from last 3 years, we're only focusing on our QuillAudits brand, right? Initially we started Quill has, but we were working on so many things, the tokenization of things, NFT protocols we are building, auditing we are doing, right? So that's, I think, mostly entrepreneurs usually nowadays following, focus on one thing, one problem statement, right? And build that product very interesting, and slowly scale the product, and around that product you can build more tools or more services around it. Yeah, so that was the biggest learning, not focus on multiple things.
Cool. Tell me 3 names who has been most influential to you.
Most influencer to me, I think, first is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, that I follow Mahendra Singh Dhoni, right? The way the person is calmness, right? The way he's making the way he make decision, right? And the next person is Naval Ravikant, right? And I love the Naval Ravikant strategies, how he think about life, work, right? And how he has been able to build so many big businesses around it, right? So these two I usually follow. I'm not sure third any influencers that I follow usually. Yeah.
What books are you reading right now, and 3 book recommendations from your side?
So one book that usually and is asking about art is like some PhD bachelor guys, and they are in this sense one in the three, right? So this book I think that art or art things one interesting book that we discuss. And then one book is also there. I completed I think 2 months back. Uh, 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 CEO within there was something book I don't know the name. Yeah, I got it. The Great CEO Inside, right? So that was a very interesting book for any founders. And currently I'm reading one book is around sales, how I can make my sales revenue 100x. Let me see the name. I'm having it the predictable revenue, right? So I'm just completing it. So these are the 3 books I'm currently liking.
What advice would you give to someone who is trying to pursue a similar career to yours?
Advice I will give go deep in one thing, right. If you're building anything in DeFi NFT, go deep in that domain, right, and figure out the issues or maybe the insights that you can get. Maybe the other founders don't have that insight, and build those insights. Take the customer feedbacks or do your research or survey, right, get the insights around it, and now build your product, right. And in this way I think you can compete with the other competitors.
Awesome. Any closing notes from your side?
Closing notes, we are just here to make this Web3 world more safer, and around that we're building more tools, and we are going to launch our tools in next 2-3 months. So yeah, that's all.
Great. Thank you, Preetam, for joining this session.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Please stay for 10 seconds.